Episode 10, Why We Needed High-Level Programming Languages. Hi, I'm Foggy Michael, and welcome to Computers Before the Internet. Last time, we learned that the CPU spends its life fetching, decoding, and executing instructions. But that raises another question. Where do these instructions come from? Ultimately, the CPU understands machine instructions, patterns of bits that tell the processor exactly what to do. Imagine writing an entire hospital billing system that way. No thank you. So programmers needed a better way to communicate with computers. Assembly language. Assembly language made things easier. Instead of dealing directly with numerical operation codes, programmers could use symbolic instructions for operations such as load, add, store. An assembler translated those instructions into the machine code the processor could execute. But assembly language was still very close to the machine. The programmer still had to think about things like memory addresses, registers, and individual processor operations. We needed another step. Enter high-level programming languages. What programmers really needed was a way to describe the problem instead of describing every tiny operation the processor had to perform. That's where high-level programming languages came in. Languages such as FORTRAN, COBOL, RPG, and BASIC. These languages allowed programmers to work much closer to the way human beings think about a problem. Here's a simple way to understand the difference. Imagine that you are the boss of a construction crew. At the machine language level, it is almost as if you're saying, move your right hand 6 inches, pick up the nail. Move your left hand, pick up the hammer. Every tiny operation had to be specified. With assembly language, you might be able to say, pick up the hammer, drive the nail. Better, but with a high-level language, you're getting closer to saying, build the wall. Now we're describing the larger job instead of every tiny operation needed to accomplish it. The compiler. But there's a problem. The CPU still doesn't understand COBOL. It doesn't understand RPG, FORTRAN, or BASIC. Ultimately, it needs machine instructions. That's where the compiler comes in. The compiler acts as a translator. It takes the source program written in a high-level language and translates it into the lower-level instructions needed to create a program the computer can execute. One operation written in RPG or COBOL might ultimately require many individual machine instructions. The programmer doesn't have to write all of those instructions. The compiler does the translation. And that's what made high-level languages so powerful. COBOL was designed primarily for business data processing, payroll, billing, accounting, inventory, the kinds of jobs computers were increasingly being asked to perform. RPG stood for Report Program Generator. It was also designed for business data processing and became particularly important on IBM systems such as the System 3. When I entered the computer business in the early 1970s, these weren't historical programming languages. They were the tools we actually used. Joe and the assembler subroutines. On the IBM System 3, I worked with another programmer named Joe Crocomo. Joe was brilliant and several years ahead of me. He even wrote assembler subroutines that could be called from an RPG program. Most of our program could be written in RPG, but Joe could drop down closer to the machine and write something in assembler when necessary. It has been more than 50 years, and I couldn't tell you today exactly what those routines did. But I remember being impressed that Joe could do it. And that demonstrates something important. High-level programming languages did not make assembly language disappear. Sometimes we used both. Fred's a great idea. There was this man who was my boss, and he was named Fred. Fred loved alai. He knew some of the players, kept piles of handwritten notes, and believed he had developed a system for betting. Naturally, Fred wanted me to program it. I talked him out of that one. I had other things to do, like programming an infection control monitoring system for the hospital. Learning the problem. That taught me something else about being a programmer. I didn't just have to learn computers, I had to learn the business I was programming for. To write an infection control system, I had to learn about hospital-acquired infections, organisms, gram-negative bacteria, and a whole vocabulary that had nothing to do with programming. There was an infection control nurse named Millie, whom I was writing the system for. I actually went onto the hospital floors with her so I could better understand what she did and what the system needed to accomplish. But there was a problem. When the nurses saw me walking around, they might assume I knew something and start asking questions. Millie had a solution. She had me put a stethoscope around my neck. Apparently, that was my security clearance. Bringing it all together. That experience taught me something I've never forgotten. Knowing the language wasn't enough. A programmer had to understand what the people using the computers were actually trying to do. Whether I was writing an RPG, COBOL, or something else, eventually my source program had to be translated into instructions the computer could understand. And once those instructions reached the CPU, we were right back where we were in the last episode. Fetch, decode, execute, over and over and over again. I'm Foggy Michael. Thank you for watching Computers Before the Internet.